Clara Bow, the it girl who vanished. Did you know that Clara Bow, the very first it girl, inherited severe insanity from her mother that forced her to spend her last years alone, suicidal, and wretched? Bow's only crime was to be her mother's only surviving child, and for this, she was continually punished even after she agreed to go down to her grave. What really happened between Clara, her family, and Hollywood studio executives? Why did her father start forcing himself on her after her mother tried to stab her to death with a butcher's knife? What happened to Clara Bow's two sons, and why does nobody remember them? This is the story of Clara Bow and her sudden disappearance from the screens. Clara Bow was born at a time when nobody wanted her, not even the doctors who had helped her mother in her delivery. Her mother Sarah had already lost 2 babies before Clara, and doctors warned her against getting pregnant again. She refused to listen, and this was how Bow came into the world. But both mother and daughters were going to regret this. Her father, Robert, was a helpless drunk who could barely keep a job. He spent his mornings in the women's salon and his nights in the city's pub. Some even argued that he suffered from a mental affliction that plagued the family. Anyway, Robert and Sarah had their first daughter in the early days of their marriage, but she died 2 days after birth. She was dumped in a trash can, and several months later they had another child who also died hours after her birth. When Sarah became pregnant with Bow, she prayed to God for this one to survive, as she believed that the child would be her ticket out of hardship. Maybe that was why Bow faced such intense pressure that forced her into the snares of the dangerous predators in Hollywood. Speaking of the night of her birth, Clara said, "I don't suppose 2 persons ever looked death in the face more clearly than my mother and I the morning I was born. We were both given up, but somehow we struggled back to life." Unfortunately, things grew even worse as she got older. Her mother was a longtime patient of psychosis due to epilepsy. This started after she fell from a second-story window and smashed her head to the hard ground. So as a child, Bow learned to take care of her mentally unstable mother while trying to cope with a never-around father. She confessed that she always felt that her parents' hatred towards each other was because of something she did. This made her continue to try her best to please them, even though they never cared about her. As the years went by, her mother's mental illness grew more serious, and sometimes it came with more drama and outbursts than what she was used to. Sometimes it was even life-threatening. One night, Clara woke up to a huge dark figure above her with a butcher knife. It was her mother, and somehow she managed to escape without any serious injuries. After the night, things were never the same. Her mother was locked up in a mental institution, and her father finally got the opportunity he had been waiting for. According to Bow's biographer, David Sten, when Clara was 16, her father forced himself on her while her mother was still institutionalized. And this happened long enough until Clara could never recover. Robert managed to sweep this one under the carpet, and this was just one of the many things that Bow suffered that she never got revenge for. While some blog reports proved that her mother tried to kill her because of her decision to become an actress, Clara confessed that as a child, she wanted nothing to do with screen business. As a matter of fact, she didn't even want to be a girl. Bow hated to be found in the company of girls as a child because they always mocked her worn-out clothes and carrot-top hair. She found comfort in the circles of teenage boys until one of them took advantage of her. On the bright side, that might just be the reason why we remember and celebrate her today. Anyway, Clara's mother didn't like that her only daughter moved with boys. She tried to make Clara look more feminine so she would be accepted by the girls in school. While that worked, it also made her dangerously attractive to her old friends. It was only a matter of time before one of them made his move on her, and that was how Bow's journey as an actress started. Speaking of the incident, she said, "There was one boy who had always been my pal. He kissed me. I was horrified and hurt, and I knew I could never go back to being a tomboy." Not many people know this, but another of Clara Bow's earliest traumas was watching one of her male friends burn to death in a fire accident. According to her, she heard his screams and rushed in with a carpet to fight the flames, but it was too late. The boy died in her arms, and she truly never forgave herself for it. It was also around this time that her father pushed her into the fame ladder. Clara enrolled in the 1921 Brewster Publication acting contest, and she won an evening gown and a silver trophy. The show organizers assured her that they would help her to score roles in films, but that never happened. This became her introduction to the cruelty of the industry. Her father was infuriated that Bo was robbed, and he knew exactly what to do to get back what he was promised. With her father's blessings, Clara haunted the Brewsters' office, and to get rid of her, they had to introduce her to director Christy Caban. Bo needed only 5 scenes in the 1922 Beyond the Rainbow to impress the director, and he confessed that he loved Clara for something much more than what she could do behind the cameras. According to him, he adored how Bo could cry anytime he wanted her to. This might appear as an invaluable asset in the film industry, but Clara wasn't exactly proud of it. She revealed that for each stream of tears, she just needed to pick a tragic event from her family or her past. It was either this or there had to be violins in the background playing Rockabye Baby. Either way, the actress was considered emotionally fragile, and that was why studio executives patronized her. It was so easy to break her. After director Christy Caban had his fill of her, he left her out of the final cut, and Bo was forced back to where it all began for her. Her miracle finally happened when director Elmer Clifton needed a tomboy for the 1922 silent film Down to the Sea in Ships. Bo secured a $30 per week contract with this, and this marked the beginning of her journey as an actress. But the same year also left her with a scar that she took to her grave. Her mother passed away in the mental institution not too long after her acting debut, and Bo sank into depression. While she might not have been the trophy mother, Clara still wanted her to stay alive. At her funeral, Bo was going to unleash a side of her that the media had not stopped talking about. According to popular stories, Clara reportedly screamed at her relatives who were gathered for her mother's funeral. She called them hypocrites while arguing that all of them hated her family. Things got so tense that Bo attempted to jump into her mother's grave as she continued to cry uncontrollably. But the actress quickly recovered, and by 1924, Bo was beating over 50 more experienced actresses for the role of Janet Oglethorpe in Black Oxen. Clara soon became a popular face on the screen because of her huge eyes and expressive face. She was one of the many inspirations behind the creation of the iconic cartoon character, Betty Boop. Bo became even more famous for her signature heart-shaped lipstick style, and many women all around the world quickly copied it. The style became so popular that when women drew hearts on their lips, they said they were putting their Clara Bo on. At this time, it was becoming an increasing struggle to juggle school and fame, and Clara quickly chose Hollywood. Not just because she found the industry attractive, but because everyone knew that she was also not incredibly bright with books. Bo had a very short attention span, quickly forgetting all she had been told, and directors found her very difficult to work with. Co-actors called her Bird Brain, and movie executives named her an easy winner of the Dumbbell Award, claiming that she couldn't act. Clara chose to do the talking on the stage, and in 1927, she starred in the first movie to ever win Best Pictures at the Oscars. And that was in the 1927 American silent film, Wings.
Wings, the last great silent film.
Following this success, a more understanding director described Clara Bow as a Stradivarius violin. Touch her, and she responded with genius, he said. While Bow may not have been the smartest in the room, she certainly had a very deadly mouth. Many directors, producers, and even co-actors remember her attitude as dreadful, as the young actress just didn't know how to take no for an answer. Clara Bow bit off way more than she could chew on the set of the 1924 Painted People. According to her co-actress Colleen Moore, Bow walked up to her and blatantly asked her to give up her part for her. This infuriated Moore, and she decided to have her revenge in a very dirty way. She connived with the director of the picture to deny Clara any close-up photo of her face. Colleen knew this was Bow's strongest asset, and it wasn't long before she caught the attention she was seeking. Bow was hell-bent on revenge, and she reportedly vowed that she was going to get that witch. Clara was still plotting her revenge when she was hit by a severe sinus problem, which led to her face being bandaged up. Not long after this, she wasn't just denied close-up pictures, but the directors fired her from the set. Moore had the last laugh in this turn, but that became a lesson to Clara Bow. After over 28 appearances in films, both silent and talkies, Clara had her most remembered role in the 1927 silent film, It. She played the role of a salesgirl who had a crush on the upper-class manager of the department store where she works. Viewers struggled to remember her name even after the film became a success, and so she was dubbed the It Girl. Life had never been better for Beau, and she was already getting used to the luxurious life of Hollywood when she was served her first career wreck. By the end of the 1920s, the industry was abandoning the culture of silent films to embrace productions with sounds. And Beau hated every moment of it. She was a silent film star, and she always wanted it to stay that way. "I hate talkies," she said. "They're stiff and limiting. You lose a lot of your cuteness because there's no chance for action, and action is the most important thing to me." Clara was right to be scared. To her, her voice was not very saleable, but the studio assured her that her fans wouldn't take offense. For the shooting of The Wild Party, a visibly nervous Clara Beau had to do multiple retakes because she just couldn't stop staring at the microphone. The actress was forced into the new reality that the industry isn't what it used to be, and by October 1929, she released a highly publicized statement. Beau announced that she had reached her breaking point and that her nerves were all shot. This stirred up investigations, and it wouldn't be long before Photoplay discovered an entire row of sedatives in her bedroom. The actress was addicted to pills of all kinds, and as bad as this was, it was only the beginning of her downward spiral. While Beau's incredibly intense Brooklyn accent was forgiven, things were never going to be the same for the actress. Clara responded the same way her mother did, with wild parties, men, and drugs. By the end of the decade, the actress was getting even more popular for the men she dragged to her bed than for the films she starred in. Married, unmarried, Clara just couldn't tell the difference, and this landed her in court when a woman accused her of stealing her husband. Beau wiggled her way out of the hands of the law, but this wouldn't be the last time she would be seeing the face of a judge. In 1931, Beau discovered that her secretary was stealing from her, and when she brought her to the court, she was the one who was found guilty. Her secretary, who was also one of her closest friends, revealed a lot of Clara's darkest secrets and habits. This episode ended with the actress being locked up in a mental institution like her mother. Before the judge and jury, Beau's secretary released outrageous testimonies about her, and the media didn't wait to confirm the authenticity of her statement before selling them. Clara saw herself in headlines for all the wrong reasons, and this wrecked her already dying nerves. Her secretary claimed that Beau slept with men, women, and even animals. She presented many of Clara's love letters and papers as evidence in court, and this was enough to break anyone. The actress was later nicknamed Crisis a Day Clara by studio executives, and Beau begged them to release her from the contract before it was too late. The actress was released, and at 25 years old, Clara checked into a sanatorium. Things would have probably turned out even better for her if she continued in the mental facility. Clara believed that she had recovered, but she was so wrong. After a few months in the sanatorium, Beau got back behind the camera, and this time, as revealed by her, her heart was not in it. She was only continuing in Hollywood to make enough money to stay out of it. But things didn't go exactly as she had planned. But still, studios patronized her. Howard Hughes offered her a 3-picture deal, and MGM enticed her to star in the 1932 Red-Headed Woman. She took MGM's offer, but left after they insisted that she sign a long-term contract. Beau didn't plan to stay very long with this return, so she quickly went to the next deal on the table. Eventually, she signed a 2-picture deal with Fox Film Corporation, and they had her in Call for Savage and Hoopla. Unfortunately, Hoopla marked the end of her career, and her husband was to be blamed. Clara already established that she was not a one-man woman, but viewers were surprised to see her settle with actor Rex Bell after her return from the mental institution. She chose a home away from Hollywood, and there she became a mother to 2 children, and frankly, her life became almost normal. She ruined everything when she went back to the industry that destroyed everything she had. She expected that her husband would be familiar with the acting industry and how directors sometimes require outrageous things from actresses. So, for her role in Hoopla, Beau went almost naked before the camera, and this destroyed Rex. A magazine even released a publication stating that all of Beau's costumes in the film wouldn't weigh 2 pounds even if they were soaking wet. But Clara still slammed her husband, claiming that he was wrong to accuse her of enjoying displaying her body. She said, "I make the big bucks in this family, and this brought the paychecks, so yeah, sit down." While Rex Bell was patient enough to endure with her to the end, not many of her lovers took that risk. At the peak of her fame in the industry, Clara once shared a passionate romance with Bela Lugosi, the original Dracula actor. Although their love was short-lived, it is still fondly remembered by the media and devoted fans. Lugosi and Clara loved each other, but that still didn't stop them from seeing other people. Eventually, the actor abandoned Beau and tied the knot with another woman. That was when things took a very unexpected turn. Somehow, Clara was able to convince the newly married to leave his wife 3 days into their union, and Lugosi helplessly obeyed. He filed for a divorce to continue his romance with Beau. But even that still did not guarantee that what they shared was going to last. Their love quickly fizzled out, and Bella was the one with regrets. The highlight of their time together was when they decided that it was all over, and Clara reportedly sent a parting gift to Lugosi. The gift was a nude painting of her, and the actor would honor her by hanging it over his bed through his many marriages and even until his death. Although many fans argue that the said painting looks nothing like the actress, there's still no evidence to date to prove that it was not her. Clara also once shared the bed with actor Gary Cooper, and their romance lasted for about 6 months. Many fans believe that Beau was the influence behind his early success, as she compelled producers to cast him alongside her in it. Clara and Gary would have most probably ended up together, but Gary's mother was not a very big fan of Clara and what she does to the husbands of married women. So she advised her son to cut all ties with the actress, and he did. Clara forever shamed him for this. Beau was also accused by American filmmaker Kenneth Anger of sleeping with John Wayne and the entire USC football team. When this was investigated, Clara pleaded not guilty. According to the actress, she only invited the team for a good time, but nothing that exciting ever happened. Nothing happened. We never got involved in a bedroom scene or anything like that. We were too damn innocent, Clara's biographer reported. Other men that tickled Beau's fancy include Victor Fleming, director of The Wizard of Oz, Gilbert Roland, Leland Hayward, and Howard Hughes, among others. A lot of fans argue that the real reason why Clara Beau never found satisfaction in one partner was because of her abusive father. Not only did he maltreat her sexually, but she was also deprived of fatherly love as a growing child. Beau was forced into adulthood because of her mother's mental condition, while her father had his fun with women. But Clara didn't seek revenge when she finally got her opportunity as an established actress. Instead, after her mother's death, she would try to hook her father up with another woman. That also did not end well. Clara forced one of her friends, actress Tui Lorraine, to marry her father after she was almost exiled from the United States for not having a visa. They tied the knot in 1928, and Tui became Beau's stepmother, even though they were of the same age. A few weeks into their marriage, Lorraine brought complaints to Clara about her father's insatiable sexual appetite. Beau was very much aware of the situation, and so she comforted her, and this continued until 1929. Tui filed for a divorce on the grounds of mental cruelty. While Clara's father is often the victim in her story, some fans still wouldn't let her mother go scot-free. Sarah lived as a sex worker even with deteriorating mental health, and growing up in such an environment made Beau become all that her mother was. Clara, for some reason, still refused to file a divorce against Rex, even with the many troubles. As a matter of fact, Rex Bell became another frightening addiction. In 1933, Beau finally retired from show business. She had her last public performance in the 1947 radio show, Truth or Consequences. Clara thought that escaping Hollywood would make all her problems go away. Unfortunately for her, it was just the beginning of her journey to the grave. Shortly after Beau disappeared from the screens, a mystery illness plagued her, and that forced her into isolation. With better intensive diagnosis, doctors were able to conclude that she was showing symptoms of a psychiatric disease. At the climax of her torment in 1944, Beau decided to end it all. According to her, death was a far better option than living another day as a public figure, and she also blamed her father for it. None of this would have ever happened if she followed her mother's advice to avoid the acting industry. Her mother hated Hollywood so much that Clara confessed that she fainted when she was told that her daughter had entered a movie contest. Anyway, Rex Bell, who was running for U.S. House of Representatives at the time, returned home one day to meet his wife's suicide note. Luckily, he made it in just about enough time to stop her before she carried out the act. After that day, Clara refused to let her husband out of her sight. Doctors were running out of options with Beau's conditions, and just like her mother, it became clear that the It Girl was slowly waiting for her death. Her children were separated from her because of her mental condition. Rex was her only comfort, and while she refused to talk to him, she also made sure that he never left the house. Therapy finally revealed that Clara was suffering from what we all thought she recovered from. According to the doctor's report, the actress's mental issues were genetic. While Sarah's own started after she fell from a window, Beau confessed that her tragedy was triggered the night she escaped death at the hands of her own mother. And the most traumatizing part would be that she remembered nothing of it the following morning. So Beau came face to face with all she had run from all her life in the sanatorium. When the doctors couldn't find a lasting solution to Clara's problem, they discharged her and the clock started ticking as fast for the actress. First, she was almost bankrupt even after earning so much in the industry. Her husband, Bell, reportedly mismanaged her money, so Clara was met with very little when she returned from the mental asylum. The actress was then forced to retire in an old bungalow where she had no friends and almost no visitors, and finally, it was time to say goodbye. In 1965, locked up alone in her house, Clara Beau drew her last breath after a severe heart attack. She was 60 at the time of her death, and almost nobody remembered her. Clara had been a victim of the harsh realities of Hollywood all her life, and yet the industry she fought so hard for did not esteem her worth enough for recognition until another actress intervened. After AFI left Beau out on their list of 100 Years, 100 Stars, British film historian Kevin Brownlow will also completely omit her from his silent films book, The Parade's Gone By. All of this continued until actress Louise Brooks raised her concern. After reading Brownlow's book, Louise was furious that there was no mention of Clara Beau, so she wrote to the author and reprimanded him. She said, "You brush off Clara Beau for something old nothing like Brooks." Brooks's letter did exactly what she wanted it to, and Brownlow was forced to dedicate an entire segment in memory of the silent film star. That might just be why the name Clara Beau still rings a bell in today's industry. Rex Bell died after a political rally 2 years after his wife's death, and nobody could say for sure what had happened to Clara's children. All that we know about them is that they never saw their mother until her death. Clara Beau's talkies are reported to be newly preserved, and movie houses across many nations are now offering Clara Beau revivals and film festivals. Maybe Clara Beau's time has come, and maybe her name can enjoy lasting popularity. It is just so sad that she never found peace when she was alive. This is it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other videos on beautiful actresses from the yesteryears on the end screen below. As always, thanks for watching.